Week 6 of the 2025 season is officially here, and we have a couple of pretty fun games. So in today's video, I want to give you guys my predictions to every single game of week number 6. Subscribe and like the video if you do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the New York Giants. The New York Giants are a fun, scrappy, young team that is starting to figure it out. I like the way the culture's building. I just like some of the pieces in general. I think Scatabo and Dart are really fun and just kind of cool guys. There's a lot to like about what the Giants are building, but they're still not a finished team. Now, on the flip side, Philadelphia is kind of a finished team. Don't get me wrong, they don't have everything figured out, but they are a finished team with a lot of guys in their prime. Philadelphia's coming off the Super Bowl. The Giants are just hoping to win like 5 games this year. I do think this game will be close. I'm expecting Philadelphia to be the heavy favorites and probably to end up winning the game, but I do expect the Giants to give them a good fight. Philadelphia has been kind of lackluster so far this year, especially when they have gone up and gotten some leads in games. They have not been able to maintain them, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened in this Giants game. I wouldn't be surprised if Philadelphia gets up 24 to like 13, and then slowly but surely the Giants get back into it. That all said, I do expect Philadelphia to win this game. They're just the better team, and they're at a different stage right now than the New York Giants. Philly's coming off a loss. I expect them to be able to bounce back and probably be a little bit pissed off, and they're going to take that out on the Giants. It'll be a close game. It won't be a blowout, but I expect Philly to get up big early and then the Giants to scrap their way to make it maybe a bit more contested in the fourth quarter. That all said, I think the final score will be something along the lines of 27 Philadelphia to 20 New York. Moving over to the Denver Broncos going up against the New York Jets. This is a good old classic trap game for the Denver Broncos, and they might fall for it, but I don't think they will. The Denver Broncos are going up against an 0-5 Jets team that, if we're being honest, the Denver Broncos are probably not too concerned about this game, especially coming off the backs of a very emotional high, beating the Philadelphia Eagles, which gave them a lot of momentum for the rest of their season. This is one of those games where they're probably looking at the rest of the year and looking down the schedule, but they're not paying attention to the Jets. This could allow the Jets to win the game, but when it comes down to it, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't trust this Jets offense enough. I sure as hell don't trust this Jets defense enough. And at the bare minimum, let's say the offense doesn't show up for Denver, I know that defense will. I know that defense will get after the quarterback, force some turnovers, a bunch of 3-and-outs, and give their offense legit opportunities to go down and put up some points. So I expect Denver to win kind of an ugly game. I don't think they're going to be ready to just blow them out of the waters. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping they can stay level-headed and just go week by week and get a big win versus the Jets. But realistically speaking, it's going to be difficult to emotionally get up for this game. You're going to have to get through it. You got to win this game so that way you can start looking at some of your other in-division or in-conference games that are a bit more important. This Jets game, though, keep an eye on it. It's a trap game. But I have the Denver Broncos handling their business. I got a pretty low scoring game here. Final score 20 Denver, 10 New York. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts. Week 5 for these teams could not have gone any different. Indianapolis gets a big 40-3 victory over the Raiders, just blowing them out of the waters. Arizona thought they were going to blow out the Tennessee Titans, and then a fumble into the end zone, and then a fumble after an interception, and next thing you know, Cam Ward has the ball, and he wins the game for their team. Just a polar opposite of just one team that is completely in a flow state right now and one team that is just having a hard time figuring their stuff out. I've made it clear that I'm not a big fan of this Cardinals team. There's just something not right about this team, but I do think they are a good enough roster to win games, especially like this one. Indianapolis is a good team, and they are for sure inside my top 10 in my power rankings, and I do buy into this team as like legitimate playoff threats. But Arizona still is a talented enough team to surely make this game close. This will be a good opportunity here for Kyler Murray and this Jonathan Gannon-led Arizona team to really make a bit of a statement. If you get a win here versus Indianapolis, it slows down the Indy train, and it also helps Arizona pick up their season. Arizona badly needs a win if they want to somehow make the playoffs this year, but unfortunately, I just think the Colts are the better team. Their offense is completely going right now. Their defense is creating turnovers. And Arizona, simply put, does not have a high-powered offense that I think can maybe have success versus Indianapolis. I'm expecting turnovers. I'm expecting 3-and-outs. I'm expecting penalties, not being disciplined, making mistakes. Whereas for Indianapolis, they're just not really doing that right now. They're playing clean football. They're running the ball well. The offensive line is cooking. Tyler Warren is awesome. They just have so many things going for them that I don't expect them to take a step back. They're in a state right now where they are in such a flow and they have so much rhythm and everything's going so well for them. I just don't see Arizona being the team that slows them down right now. Indianapolis is a full-on train going downhill, and unfortunately, it just feels like Arizona is going to have to eat this one. I don't think Arizona's season's completely over with yet if they lose this game, but they're going to have to pick up some pieces and really start to grind it out the rest of the way, and Kyler Murray's got to play better. So keep an eye on this one. I think Arizona has a chance of winning, but I do have Indianapolis winning this game. I think the final score will be something along the lines of 30-24. Next up, the Miami Dolphins go up against the LA Chargers. This is another one of those games where you can't call it a trap game, but it's definitely one of those games where Miami can win this one. The Chargers have not played great football the past 2 weeks, primarily because of some of the injuries with their run game. The running backs are now out. You look at this offensive line, it's pretty bruised up. And unfortunately, now you're in a situation where you're kind of a one-dimensional offense. Now, if there was a game where you can get that run game going, even with some injuries, it would be this one. Miami's defensive line has been really bad this year. The secondary has also been really bad too. So regardless of who's in at running back, regardless of who's in the offensive line, I do think the Chargers will be able to run the football decently enough. Unlike the past few weeks where they've sort of had to abandon it at some times or just really rely heavily on Justin Herbert, I don't think they're going to have to do so in this one. I do think Herbert has a nice game, potentially a better game than what we've seen in the past few weeks. And in general, I just expect the Chargers to score points. On the flip side, Miami is going to be in a tough spot here. The Chargers defense is very good. They're also coming off back-to-back losses. So there's a lot of motivation to be up and ready for this game. Miami can score points, and they have some guys offensively that are actually playing a lot better. To Darren Waller, Jalen Waddle. They got some things going for them on the offensive end. Their offensive line still is not good, and I just think the Chargers defense is so much better than this Miami defense that the Chargers will get turnovers. They'll get some stops. They'll force punts. They'll help them out on the offensive end with some short fields. And offensively, all the Chargers have to do is score 24 points, and I think they'll easily surpass that. So with that said, I do think the Chargers win this game. I think they're just the better team, and I think they just badly need a victory right now, and Miami just feels like a team where you can get right and actually start to play your brand of football. So I got the Chargers winning this game. I think the final score will be something like 24-20 in favor of LA. Next up, the New England Patriots go up against the New Orleans Saints. Both of these teams had fairly impressive victories in Week 5. Obviously, New England beating up on the Buffalo Bills was very, very impressive. And then New Orleans getting a comfortable win versus the Giants after going down pretty big was pretty impressive too. I think these teams are not too far away from being, similar in terms of the talent pool. Now, I think New England is way more talented, and I love Drake May, and I love the confidence he's building now. So that's why I kind of think they're the favorites in this one. But don't sleep on the Saints. They have been close all year long to picking up some wins, and they finally got their win last week. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints go in and potentially beat the Patriots. Now, I'm not going to predict that. You'll see my prediction here in a second. But I do just want to throw it out there that New Orleans is 100% able to win this game. New England, on the other hand, man, this is a bit of a trap game. You're coming off such a huge emotional high where you get this big, big victory versus the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, in a wideout, versus Josh Allen at Sunday Night Football. Huge game. Now you're going up against the Saints, and that's a pretty big drop-off. So the New England Patriots are going to have to show some maturity here despite being a fairly young roster. And they got to be ready to go for a game here that doesn't really inspire a ton of motivation and things like that. So this will be a fun test for New England, but every time that I have questioned this New England Patriots team, they have typically answered the bell. I questioned if they could compete with the Buffalo Bills. I questioned if they were going to be a threat in the AFC, and so far they've passed them all. Now, they haven't passed every test. They haven't done things perfectly. I thought they would lose to Pittsburgh when they lost to Pittsburgh, but they are starting to catch a rhythm here. That connection between Drake May and Stephon Diggs is getting going, and unfortunately for the Saints, I just don't know if there's a path to win this game that is as conceivable as it is for the Patriots to win. In order for New Orleans to win, they got to force turnovers, and they got to give Spencer Rattler short fields to operate. If they can do so, then again, I think New Orleans can win this game. But if Drake May takes care of the football like he has been doing so for most of the season, then I do think they'll win. So this game to me does come down to turnovers. I expect Drake May to handle them though. I have the Patriots ultimately winning this game. I think it'll be close. I don't expect a blowout. I'm going to predict something along the lines of 23-17, something like that. Next up, the Cleveland Browns are going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cleveland Browns have a new quarterback. They also have a new quarterback too. Bye-bye Flacco. In comes Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders. That's really interesting. I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversations about that moving forward. Pittsburgh is coming off a bye, so is there going to be some rust, or is this team going to be ready to go for this one? It's a home game for Pittsburgh. I think Cleveland has the better defense in this game. I know that both these teams are kind of known for their dynamic, fun defenses that can get after the quarterback. You got TJ on one side, you got Miles on the other side. I expect both these guys to have really big days out there. Myles Garrett going up against the tackles for Pittsburgh, that's no contest. TJ Watt going up against the offensive line of Cleveland is no contest either. So expect TJ and Myles Garrett to have huge impacts on the game. And I think it's going to be the responsibility of both the offensive coordinators and the head coaches to ensure that they are helping their quarterbacks get the ball out quickly to avoid the pass rush. And that's what I think you're going to see in this game. You got Aaron Rodgers, who it feels like almost every throw he's making this year is underneath, it's short. You know, occasionally he'll go intermediate, but it's a lot of quick screens, just a lot of quick throws in general. And for Dylan Gabriel, that's also what we saw in Minnesota. Some screens, some quick draws, just things to get him some easy receptions. He wasn't asked to do a whole bunch, and you're going to see a whole lot of that in this game. I don't think either team is going to threaten anything down the field. I think you're going to see a lot of methodical 10-plus drives that result in probably field goals more so than touchdowns. It's just going to be one of those games. It's going to be a time of possession game. Who can run the football better? Who can protect their quarterback better? And things like that. I know Pittsburgh has the better record than Cleveland, but I don't think these teams are terribly far apart. And when it comes down to it, I'm going to go Cleveland to win this game. I know Pittsburgh probably will be the heavy favorites, and rightfully so, but I just have a feeling that this Cleveland's defense is going to be able to put a stranglehold on Pittsburgh, and Dylan Gabriel is just going to be able to do enough. I'm expecting a game that probably goes deep into the fourth quarter. It might be one of those games with who gets the ball last and who can go down and kick a field goal to win the game. I think Dylan Gabriel will get the job done. This could be a game too where you start to build some momentum from your season. We saw how Jackson Dart stepped into New York and just brought so much confidence and inspiration to his teammates. Maybe Dylan Gabriel could do that for this team. So I'm going to predict Cleveland to win this game. I think it'll be very low scoring. I think it might come down to the very end. I have the final score 18-15 in favor of Cleveland. Next up, I got the Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the Carolina Panthers. The Dallas Cowboys defense took a bit of a step forward this past week versus the New York Jets, but let's keep it $150. That defense still is horrendous. Same thing with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers defense has taken a step forward from last year, but not a big step forward, just a small little, few inches step forward. They're playing better, but not significantly better. So I expect both offenses to be able to find a rhythm and have some success. When it comes down to it, Dallas's offense is one of the best offenses in all of football right now. Dak is playing at an MVP level. Javonte Williams is playing like truly a Pro Bowl caliber running back. CeeDee Lamb, I don't know if he's going to play in this one. I think probably not, but I don't think they need him in this one because you do have George Pickens. We'll see if Devontae Turpin can go. Ryan Flournoy had a big game last week. Ferguson's probably the best tight end in football right now, at least the most productive one for sure. So I think Dallas has the offense to go. Regardless of who's on our offensive line, I think they'll find success. Hopefully that offensive line can be a little bit healthier this week because going up against Derrick Brown won't be no, pushover by no means. I think Dallas will run the football well. I think they're going to score a lot of points versus Carolina. But on the flip side, I believe the same thing for Carolina too. They found something in Rico Dowdle this past week. Let's see if it can translate versus the Cowboys defense that I know the big conversations on the Kenny Clark and the interior defensive line for Dallas. Can they stop the run? I think they've been better this year. So can Rico Dowdle and that offensive line have success versus this improved pass or run stuffing for Dallas? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But I expect Bryce Young to have a nice day out there. Dallas' secondary is just not very good. Dallas' defense is just not very good. Bryce should have time in the pocket. I expect Bryce Young to take a step forward. The past couple times I predicted Carolina games, I predicted them to lose, but I've predicted them to play well in the loss. I think this is the week where you actually get that, where Dallas wins the game, but you end up feeling pretty good about Bryce Young when it's all said and done. Dallas beat Carolina last year quite handily. I do think Bryce plays better in this one. I think he plays like how he did sort of last week, but maybe a bit cleaner, maybe a bit better. I got Dallas winning though. I just trust Dak. I trust that offense so much more than I do Carolina's. So I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this one. Pretty high scoring game. I'll say 34-24 in favor of Dallas. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks square off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one is actually closer than what you might think. The Jaguars are a team that sneakily are 4-1 and now have a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. They are a weird team. They're a funny team in some ways because you look at everything that they've done this year, the numbers, just watching the games, the completion percentage, the efficiency, you're like, this team is not that great. But then you look at the record, they're 4-1, and they have found ways to win games. give credit to Jacksonville's defense. They have taken a huge step forward this year. They're actually like genuinely a top 15 defense in the league, potentially maybe top 10. I think you can have the conversation. They're playing very good football right now. But on the offensive end, it feels like they're figuring things out. They're not quite yet where I thought they were going to be. They're not high power. They're not making explosive plays, but they have shown an ability to make some things happen. Travis Hunter had probably his best game of his young NFL career, so that's good to see. BTJ and Trevor, hopefully that connection continues to build, and maybe it builds a bit in this one. This is a tough matchup, though. Seattle is a really good football team and a really excellent defense that has a great secondary, really good pass rush, good front seven in general. That defense is truly having an astounding year, and I expect them to play well versus Jacksonville. And Seattle on the offensive end is also playing the best football we've seen from Seattle on the offensive end since like prime Russell Wilson. They run the football efficiently. Sam Darnold's making great plays with both his arm and his legs. He's becoming a playmaker. The receivers are playing great football. The offensive line is keeping up. I mean, this Seahawks offense is actually looking really, really functional right now. And now, granted, Jacksonville's coming off a really big high. Seattle's coming off a bit of a letdown. I think Seattle's ready for this game, though. I do expect Seattle to win this one. I do think Jacksonville can keep up, but when it comes down to it, I just trust the Seahawks offense a lot more than I do trust this Jaguars offense. Both good defenses, both have some fun offenses. I do think Seattle's is better, though. I'm going to lean on Seattle to win this game. I think it's a fun game, probably one of the more fun games of the week for sure. I got Seattle winning this game 26-23. Next up, we have the LA Rams going up against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, had I done a video talking about the best games of the 2025 NFL season, LA versus Baltimore probably would have been in the video, but here we are at week 6, and no, this game is not going to be particularly close. Now, I'm recording this on Wednesday prior to when you guys are seeing this on Thursday. As of now, we don't know if Lamar's playing, but he just missed practice. He's also doubtful for the game. So I'm going to operate this game assuming Lamar Jackson's not going to be in this one. Even if Lamar does play, I don't think they have a chance. And here's why. Baltimore's just they're a crippled commodity right now. They have injuries all over the field, and if Lamar's not 100% and he can't run, I don't think you throw him out there. I just think that's a risky play to make here, especially when you're going up against a good Rams defense. The Ravens are 1-4, and they badly need a victory. They badly need one. They need to pull off an upset here. I don't think they will. This defense sucks. They are so banged up on both sides. The offense cannot move the football without Lamar Jackson consistently. Derrick Henry is showing his age a little bit, even though I don't think his performance is necessarily the reason for why his numbers are down. I do think it has other concerns out there, such as poor offensive line play and just some other issues with the offense not being able to consistently run the football because of how big they've been down in games. They have to become one-dimensional. But all that said, I just don't see Baltimore keeping in this one. The Rams offense is really good. They're playing at a higher level. They have an elite pass rush that will get after whoever is at quarterback. I think their secondary is playing good enough. So if Lamar is out there and he's 100%, it definitely helps Baltimore, but I just don't see him going in this game, and I definitely don't see him being 100%. And I don't think if he's 100%, you throw him out there, especially versus this pass rush. So I got the Rams winning. If Cooper Rush is out there and Baltimore plays how they did last week, this game won't be close. I think the final score will ultimately be a bit of a blowout. I have the final score 34-10 in favor of LA. Next up, I got the Tennessee Titans going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. These are two of the worst teams in football. Let's just keep it a buck. And I think the Raiders have more talent than Tennessee, but they're playing horrendous football as well. Tennessee got their first win of the year, and Cam Ward has something to build off of after that game-winning drive this past week, where I thought he made several high-level throws and a couple really nice plays in the game. He makes mistakes. He's a rookie quarterback. He'll make some interceptions that have you scratching your head. He'll take some bad sacks. He'll do rookie things. But I think he's making enough plays out there and giving you enough hope to make you believe that he can win this game. Las Vegas is not playing good football. They have a veteran quarterback who's playing like he's a rookie. He's forcing the ball into tight windows. He's playing inaccurately. He's not anticipating throws properly. He's throwing the ball just up for grabs a lot of the time, and it's giving the other teams opportunities to make plays. Now, granted, Geno has had decent games this year where he has shown life here and there, but I would say Geno has been the biggest reason for why this Raiders team has been struggling offensively. I don't think it's just the offensive line, which is a huge issue. I think it's primarily Geno Smith. Now, in this game, the Titans, of course, Jeffrey Simmons is an absolute demon, and they got some dudes who can go on the defensive side that will make life pretty hard for Geno. So if they can't stop Simmons, and if they can't run the football, You're putting the ball in Geno Smith's hands quite a bit, and that's going to allow Tennessee to get some turnovers. I'm expecting a game with a lot of turnovers, and if there are a lot of turnovers, I actually think that favors Cam Ward quite a bit because we've seen some explosive ability from this guy to make some big plays here and there, and if they can get short fields, and if they can actually make their freaking field goals, Joey Sly, I think Tennessee wins this game. I know that Las Vegas is probably going to be the favorite, and they probably should be because you have, hopefully, Brock, Genty, Myers, and hypothetically a veteran quarterback. But the veteran quarterback is playing like a bottom 5 quarterback in the league right now. And I think Cam Ward gives this team an opportunity every single night. And hey, they're coming off a win. So there's a lot of maybe some newfound confidence maybe in this team. So I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans to win an ugly, slug it out, turnover filled battle with a couple field goals, maybe a touchdown here and there. I think the final score ends up being 19-17 in favor of Tennessee. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals will be squaring off against the Green Bay Packers. Now, Joe Flacco, I think, will start this game, but how much of the game plan he actually knows is still to be determined. If it is Jake Browning, then I think this game is even easier to decide. But if Joe Flacco's there, it gives me, I guess, a bit of pause. Yes, Joe Flacco can go in there and get the ball out to his playmakers. I do expect Chase and T. Higgins to play a lot better. But this offensive line is not good. Can they protect this 40-year-old quarterback that's a statue in the pocket? Can this Bengals offense efficiently run the football when they have not been able to do so all year? I think the answer is no. I also think Green Bay is coming off a bye week. They're coming off a loss and a tie where they're probably pretty pissed off and have been brewing on it for the past few days now, and they get a chance here to go in against Cincinnati, a bad defense, and score a crap ton of points. I think they will. I think Green Bay easily surpasses over 30 points this game, and it's going to be up to that Bengals offense to match the Green Bay Packers offense as well, and I just don't think that's even going to happen. I think Cincinnati plays maybe a bit more contested than how they have the past few weeks with Browning, but I don't think it's by much. I think the Green Bay Packers handle this game. I think they run the ball well with Josh Jacobs. I think Jordan Love makes plays. I think Matthew Golden has maybe a breakout game in this one. I got the Packers winning this one quite comfortably. I think the final score will be 38-13 in favor of Green Bay. Next up, I got the San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is sneakily becoming one of the best teams in the NFL. I don't think people are really comfortable having that conversation yet, but after this past week versus the Seattle Seahawks, I think we got definitive proof of just how good this team is. Baker Mayfield is playing at an MVP-like level. They're absolutely balling on the defensive side, making some plays. Granted, not this past week. Sam Darnold had a good one, but they got guys who can go. They're getting better on the offensive end. They're running the ball well. Hopefully we can get some news on Irving and Mike Evans here soon. Hopefully positive news. In this game, you're going up against San Francisco that who knows who's going to play for San Francisco. And honestly, who cares? If it's Mac Jones, cool. If it's Brock Purdy, cool. I don't think it particularly matters. There is a certain magic to this Niners team that makes me want to predict them. And if you guys watched my podcast, which I recorded a few days before this, I actually did predict San Francisco to win. But I'm actually going to change my answer and tone here a little bit. So if you check out the podcast and you hear me talk about San Francisco, cool, then that could be that side. On this channel, though, I'm going to predict Tampa Bay to win this game. I'm going to be a bit more logical here. On the podcast, I did go San Francisco just because there's like a magic to them. There's a certain vibe to them, and I stand by what I said. There is something magical going on with what Kyle Shanahan is doing. But I'm going to, shoo off the pixie dust a little bit and all the magic I talked about and just look at the facts. Tampa Bay is a better team right now. They're playing at a high level, and they got a lot more to look forward to the rest of the way. I'm going to go Tampa Bay to win this one. I just don't know what the injuries look like for San Francisco. I'm going to go Tampa Bay to win this one. Close game, I'll say 30-22 in favor of Tampa Bay. Next up, the Detroit Lions square up against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is another one of those games that you looked at and you said, this is a game to watch. This game has everything on the line. And in some ways, there is still that energy to this game, but not as much. Detroit is looking good. They're my new #1 team in my power rankings. Spoiler alert, check it out after this video. You guys can see everything. And even though I don't think the Chiefs are as good as what they have been the past few years, you still just have to believe in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're still good. And I don't want to discount them completely, even though I know a lot of people will. I think Detroit is just playing a better, cleaner brand of offensive football. The Chiefs just do not have the ground game. Yes, the pass game has been good enough with Mahomes, but it's not as high level as like a Detroit or Buffalo. And Detroit and Buffalo, their passing games are so good because they can also run the football. Kansas City just can't do that right now. There's no game planning you can do around that if you cannot run the football. If you can't run the football, it makes everything else so much more difficult. You become one-dimensional, and defenses are going to learn that. They're not going to stack the box. They're going to play more guys in coverage. it's just more difficult. But if you can run the football, then maybe all of a sudden you can get another guy in the box that opens up the offense to pass the ball a bit more. But because this team can't run the football against 6-man boxes or 7-man boxes, it makes things a lot more difficult. Detroit has some injuries in the secondary that do give me some pause. No Reed, no Kerryon Arnold. So they're going to have to figure that out. I do think they have enough solid depth that I feel good enough about the secondary to hold their own in this one. And it isn't like the Chiefs have huge dynamic playmakers that, give you serious pause. Like, yes, they got Kelsey, but Kelsey's not who he was even 2 years ago. They got Xavier Worthy. He's the one guy that you have to be concerned with. But outside of him, like I know Thornton has been pretty good for you, but again, he's just not that dynamic guy that I'm seriously concerned with. There's no CD, there's no AJ, or even anybody close to the caliber of those guys. So I do expect Detroit to really be able to pin their ears back. I expect Hutchinson to have a big day. Brian Branch, all those guys, they're able to go. It's going to be a big day for them. And I think Detroit's just going to be able to score enough points. This game will not be a blowout because Kansas City is still a well-coached team with a great defense and a great quarterback that will 100% challenge Detroit. And it's being played in Kansas City. So that does give me some pause for Detroit. I did predict Kansas City to win this game on my podcast, but I think I was just trying to be different than my co-host. On this one, though, I will give the favorite to Detroit. I think Detroit wins this game, but I don't think it's a blowout by no means. I think this game is close, and I think it goes down to the wire. When it comes down to it, though, I think Detroit makes the plays necessary. Maybe game-winning drive. We'll have to wait and see. I think Detroit wins this game. I'm going to predict 27-24 in favor of Detroit. Moving on, we have the Buffalo Bills going up against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are coming off a bye, whereas Buffalo is coming off a pretty disappointing loss. I do think Buffalo has a chance here to bounce back against a quality opponent, but I think Atlanta is going to be in this one. They've had time to really sit on this one, prepare for it. I thought they played well the last time they showed us their game, although they played bad the week prior, but they played well in week 4. Week 5, you have the bye, so they've been preparing for this one, and I do think Atlanta has a chance here to win this game. Atlanta can run the football, and I think with Penix playing potentially better, there should be some things open in the passing game. I think Pitts and London and Bijan hopefully will all have big games, because if they do, then I do think that gives this team a better chance of winning. Ultimately, though, Buffalo's offense needs a bounce back game. I think they'll run the football efficiently. I think they'll pass the ball well. Buffalo really cannot afford this loss. I know, which is weird to say, but having back-to-back losses, I feel like would kind of kill some of the confidence and momentum of this team. But this is definitely not an easy game. I do think Atlanta will push this one, potentially take this one in the fourth quarter. And I really would not be too surprised if Atlanta found a way to win this one. It's in Atlanta. You got all the confidence in the world with Atlanta having the bye week, getting guys healthy, finally having a good game in week 4. I do think Buffalo wins it, though. I just think there's so much experience and just a kind of a decent bit riding on this game. Buffalo has the championship mentality. They have bigger aspirations. They have the better quarterback that I just trust more. I think they'll run the ball well. I think this offense scores a lot of points. I think we get a bit of not really a shootout, but sort of a high-scoring game with some minimal stoppage on defense. But I got Buffalo win this one. I think the final score will be 30-28 in favor of Buffalo. Late score makes it close for Atlanta, but I got Buffalo winning this one comfortably. And at last, we have the Chicago Bears going up against the Washington Commanders. The Commanders will be favored in this game, but I don't think Chicago should be counted out by no means. Now, Chicago's 2 victories on the season, to me, are impressive, but they don't necessarily blow my mind or anything like that. You get a win over Dallas, where I thought Dallas played well offensively, and I thought defensively they just played their worst game ever. And then you get a win versus the Raiders. I think you went up against 2 bad defenses and were able to score a lot of points against those bad defenses. Against Washington, it's going to be more difficult. Now, Chicago was on a bye, and they have had time to put a game plan together. But Washington got a big win last week versus a good Chargers defense. I think Washington will find plenty of success offensively in this game because I don't believe in Chicago's defense that much. But I also expect Caleb Williams and this offense to be able to score. I don't know if they'll run the ball that well because I don't trust DeAndre Swift, nor do I trust this offensive line going up against a pretty strong Washington defensive line and front 7 in general. But if I'm Chicago, I'm trying to put some speed on the field. I do think Chicago has more speed than Washington, which does give me a little bit of pause. I could see guys like Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift even having some nice games if they're able to find some space to operate and just outrun some of the guys on Washington. Washington has a bit of an older defense with some guys that don't move quite as well as they used to. So I do think speed becomes a bit of an element here. But I'm ultimately just going to trust this Washington offense to score a lot of points. Chicago has some confidence potentially in this one because of what happened last year and, all the frustrations and everything that happened from the Hail Mary. Could it carry over? Possibly. I do think Chicago has a chance. I'm going to predict Washington, though. I'm just going to play it safe this week. I got Washington winning this game. I think it'll be a close one. I'll say 23-20 in favor of Washington. And we do have 2 byes this week. The Houston Texans and the Minnesota Vikings are on bye, so let's hope they can get healthier. And for both these teams, let's hope they can figure things out on the offensive end. But let me know in the comment section below, what do you agree with and disagree with my predictions this week? And if you enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.